I do know she's 22 years old and handled all this noise better than most of us would at 42.
Breaking silence never sounded so good. Iowa, through local news station WHO13, just stepped up to defend Caitlin Clark, and it's sending shockwaves through the basketball world. But why does Time's Athlete of the Year need defending? The answer might surprise you.
Time magazine names Iowa's Caitlin Clark Athlete of the Year. Clark follows Lionel Messi, Aaron Judge, and Simone Biles. No unbiased person sees this as a controversial choice.
Stick around as we break down this huge development. In this video, you'll see why Iowa's support for Clark is a game changer and how it's exposing the unfair criticism she's faced. We'll show you why Iowa's local news is becoming the voice of reason, how it's challenging the narrative around her award, and how the silent majority of Caitlin Clark supporters should speak up to defend our favorite sports icon. Are you ready? Let's go.
Clark is the main reason women's basketball exploded in popularity. She again won National Player of the Year at Iowa while setting the NCAA career and tournament records for points and leading the Hawkeyes back to the Final Four. A week later, the Fever drafted Clark #1. She led the league in threes, set single and season records for assists, got the Fever back to the playoffs for the first time in 8 years, and won Rookie of the Year.
Picture this. A local news report that's got the entire basketball world buzzing. WHO13, an Iowa news station, just broke their silence on the Caitlin Clark controversy, and it's making waves. But why? Why did a local outlet feel the need to step up and defend their hometown hero?
The Time interview has been used to further divide us. Many of the people giving hot takes didn't actually read it, just like some responding to this commentary won't actually watch it.
Here's the deal. Clark's been facing some serious heat since Time named her Athlete of the Year. Critics have been coming at her from all angles, questioning whether she really deserves the title. But WHO13 wasn't having it. They decided to set the record straight, and boy, did they bring the facts. The article hits hard, laying out Clark's impressive achievements one by one. We're talking National Player of the Year, NCAA career and tournament records for points, and leading the Hawkeyes back to the Final Four. These aren't just good stats. They're game-changing, history-making numbers.
Basketball Reference says Clark has the most viewed WNBA player page and the most viewed college player page. 50 out of 50 states at Iowa and 50 for 50 Fever. She's the face of women's basketball. Clark's impact on attendance and television ratings is, relatively speaking, unlike anything we've seen. In college, virtually all games sold out. In the pros, games moved to bigger arenas. So why would anyone have a problem with Clark winning Time Athlete of the Year?
But it's not just about the numbers. The article digs deeper, addressing the criticisms head-on. One of the big issues? The question of privilege. Critics have been using this to downplay Clark's achievements, but the article flips the script. The article doesn't stop there. It challenges the idea that celebrating Clark somehow takes away from other players. They make a bold comparison saying, Clark is not the first to make people care about a sport they had previously ignored. They even draw parallels to legends like Michael Jordan and Serena Williams. It's a strong statement that puts Clark's impact into perspective.
Clark is not the first to make people care about a sport they had previously ignored. Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, and Simone Biles all move the needle. They have something in common, too. Talent, dedication, and that special something, the it factor.
So, how's this article going to change the conversation? Well, it's already acting as a voice of reason in a sea of criticism. It's reminding everyone to step back and appreciate what Clark's done for women's basketball. The article ends with a call to action, urging readers to recognize Clark's contributions and the positive changes she's bringing to the sport.
Don't give agenda drivers oxygen.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about defending Clark. It's about challenging how we talk about women's sports as a whole. The article suggests that there's a silent majority out there who support Clark, and that this group is only going to grow.
The silent majority in and out of the league appreciate Caitlin Clark. That number should only grow for Time's deserving Athlete of the Year.
So, is this the end of the Clark controversy? Not by a long shot. In fact, this article is just the beginning of a much bigger conversation, because while Iowa News is speaking up, there are still some surprising voices staying silent. And that silence? It's about to become deafening.
Sport, at its best, is a meritocracy. Clark's logo threes, creative passes, and unquantifiable charisma made her a generational star. On the court, her emotions can get the best of her. Off it, she's been admirably composed.
Remember when being named Athlete of the Year was a cause for celebration? For Caitlin Clark, it's become a minefield of criticism. But the real shock isn't just what people are saying, it's who's saying it. As we peel back the layers of this controversy, we're about to uncover some uncomfortable truths.
Well, Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson tells CNN it's race. Johnson suggests putting the whole league on the Time cover could have prevented hard feelings.
Let's talk about the backlash Clark's facing. It's not just random internet trolls or jealous fans. We're talking about criticism from within the WNBA itself. Sheila Johnson, owner of the Washington Mystics, just got everyone talking. She suggested that focusing on Clark's success overlooks the contributions of black players in the league. Johnson said, "I feel very bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition they should have."
Clark elevated a 28-year-old league to relevance it had never approached. You would think that would be appreciated, especially by an owner who had nearly a third of her team's home attendance come from 2 Fever games.
But Johnson didn't stop there. She took it a step further, proposing that Time should have put the entire WNBA on the cover instead of just Clark. Her words? Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on the cover and said, "The WNBA is the League of the Year because of all the talent that we have"? It's a statement that's stirring up a lot of emotions and forcing us to ask some tough questions about representation in sports.
If being great at basketball and white was all the WNBA needed, Breanna Stewart and many other all-stars that came before Clark had qualifications. Do some people gravitate towards someone from their own demographic? Of course. Shohei Ohtani, Coco Gauff, and Nikola Jokic all bring new fans to their sports, just as Clark does.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Clark herself addressed the issue of race and privilege in her Time interview. Critics are saying Clark shouldn't have brought up these issues at all. They argue she should have just accepted the award without commenting on race or privilege. But others are praising her for acknowledging these complex issues head-on. It's like Clark can't win, no matter what she does or says.
Caitlin did not say she didn't deserve to win or apologize for being white. She said she's earned every single thing, which she has, and added, quote, "As a white person, there is privilege." Now you can agree or disagree, but Caitlin's entitled to her opinion too.
So, how is Clark going to navigate this minefield of criticism? It's a tough spot to be in. On one hand, she's being celebrated for her incredible achievements. On the other, she's facing pushback from within the very league she belongs. Her comments about race and privilege are causing controversy, but they're also sparking important conversations about representation in women's basketball.
I don't know what Caitlin Clark's politics are, and I don't need to know. I just love watching her play basketball.
But here's the thing. While the criticism is loud, Clark's not standing alone in this storm. Some powerful voices are stepping up to defend her, and their support might just change the game. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action. In a twist that nobody saw coming, legends from across the sports world are stepping into the ring for Caitlin Clark. But their support raises an intriguing question. Why are established stars willing to put their own legacies on the line for a newcomer to professional basketball? As the criticism against Clark reached a fever pitch, something remarkable happened. Sports icons from different fields started speaking up, and not just with polite nods of approval. We're talking about full-on passionate defenses of Clark's talent and character. Take Gabby Thomas, for instance. The track and field star didn't just tweet a quick message of support. She went all out, fiercely defending Clark on social media. Thomas's words carried weight, coming from an Olympic medalist who knows a thing or two about performing under pressure and dealing with public scrutiny. When Riley Gaines criticized Clark, Thomas wasn't having it. She fired back on social media, telling Gaines, "Girl, are you for real? You don't have to share your opinion on everything, just sit this one out." But the support didn't stop there. Tennis legend Chris Evert, a former world #1 player, stepped up to the plate with a powerful statement. Evert didn't mince words, saying, Caitlin Clark deserves this award because of her talent and contributions both on and off the court. Coming from someone who's been at the top of her game, this endorsement speaks volumes about Clark's impact. And most recently, the tennis greatest of all time herself, Serena Williams, offered her advice of support. If people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, Williams shared. But Williams didn't just offer advice. She opened up about her own struggles as she faced a similar situation early in her career. Williams' words carry weight, not just because of her athletic achievements, but because she's walked the path Clark is now treading. What's really striking is how these sports icons are risking potential backlash to stand by Clark. They're not just offering vague words of encouragement. They're putting their reputations on the line, explicitly stating that Clark deserves recognition for her skill and contributions to basketball.
The best basketball player, female player on the planet, and getting everybody into women's sports and women's basketball.
This show of solidarity goes beyond just defending Clark. It's sending a clear message about recognizing talent and hard work, regardless of background or the sport someone plays. These established stars are using their platforms to challenge the narrative surrounding Clark and, by extension, how we talk about achievement in women's sports. But here's where it gets really interesting. This high-profile support isn't just changing the conversation about Clark. It's forcing us to look at the bigger picture of how we celebrate and criticize athletes, especially women in sports. These icons are essentially saying, look, we've been there. We know what it takes to be at the top, and Clark has earned her place.
And she is in a no-win situation. No win. What? She didn't even say anything that inflammatory. It's the first time she ever spoke, and everyone's like, who supported her before.
So, what's next? As more sports legends add their voices to the mix, it's becoming clear that Clark's impact goes far beyond the basketball court. She's become a catalyst for important conversations about talent, recognition, and the future of women's sports. But hold on, because there's still a piece missing from this puzzle. While stars from various sports are rallying behind Clark, there's a glaring absence in this show of support, and that silence, it's about to become the elephant in the room.
They co-opt somebody who is not on your side, never said they're on your side, never want to stand for what you're standing for in the beginning. They're just being them. And that's what Caitlin has done from the jump. So anyone who's mad at Caitlin Clark right now for saying she wants to elevate the league, she respects the players that came before them and know that they put in all the work that allows her to be in a professional league. Yes, that allows her to be in a professional league. If you have a problem with that, you were never a Caitlin Clark fan, and you're part of the problem too.
The elephant in the room just got bigger. While tennis legends and track stars speak out for Caitlin Clark, the WNBA seems to have lost its voice. Is this a calculated move or a misstep that could cost the league its biggest star? The answer might surprise you, and it's not what you think. Let's break this down. We've got sports icons from all corners rallying behind Clark, tennis greats, Olympic medalists, you name it. But the WNBA, radio silence. It's like watching a packed stadium where one entire section refuses to cheer. And we're not talking about just any section. This is the very league Clark belongs.
They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
So what's going on here? Why is the WNBA, the league Clark is revolutionizing, staying so quiet? It's not like they don't have a stake in this. You'd think they'd be first in line to defend her. But here's where it gets complicated. They're walking a tightrope, trying to balance celebrating new talent without seeming to overlook their existing stars. It's a tough spot. Speak out in support of Clark, and they risk alienating some of their core players and fans. Stay silent, and they might miss out on the momentum Clark's bringing to the sport. It's like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place with no easy way out. But here's the twist. This silence isn't just about Clark. It's shining a spotlight on bigger issues within the WNBA. How do they handle controversies? How do they support their players when the going gets tough? These are questions that need answers, and fast.
What little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
The league's reluctance to speak out is raising eyebrows. Are they hoping this will all blow over? Or is there a strategy at play that we're not seeing? Whatever the reason, it's clear that this silence is becoming deafening. And it's not just fans who are noticing. Players, sponsors, and media are all watching closely. One thing's for sure. The longer this silence stretches on, the louder it becomes. As the controversy continues, one question remains. Can the WNBA afford to stay silent much longer? With Clark bringing a new wave of fans and attention to the league, their response, or lack thereof, could shape the future of women's basketball. The clock is ticking, and all eyes are on the WNBA. What will their next move be?
For the longest time, the WNBA has been trying to get on this global scale, and I feel like that's the direction they are finally headed. I think that WNBA fans have always been proud supporters and pushers of the advancements of this league, but sometimes it takes a certain star of a certain caliber to really just expand and explode the league from the inside out, and that's what Caitlin Clark is.
The Caitlin Clark controversy has pulled back the curtain on some deep-rooted issues in women's sports and media coverage. It's not just about one player or one award, it's about how we value and promote women's athletics as a whole. But here's the thing, we can all play a part in changing the narrative. If you love what Clark's doing for the game, speak up. Share her highlights, talk about her achievements, and challenge the unfair criticism. As Serena Williams pointed out, women's sports are exciting. Women are exciting to watch. She's right. And the numbers prove it. This whole situation could be a turning point. Clark's journey might just pave the way for a new era in women's sports. One where talent is celebrated, regardless of background. The future of women's sports is bright. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.